Good day, everyone. So let's go through the post-lab discussion for the two lab activities that we did for midterms. The first one is the analysis and denaturation of proteins, and the other one is regarding your lipid chemistry. So for the first one, we did analysis and denaturation of proteins, actually more on the analysis side. No? So in the denaturation side, we didn't really get to tackle all that much in our activity, but we will just go through them theoretically. So we will have a short review on the topic of proteins. So the first test that we did is actually this one, the Hawkins Cole test. The objective of this test is to detect the presence of the amino acid tryptophan. So how does the test do that? The aldehyde group in your Hopkins Cole reagent will react with the indole ring of your tryptophan. So the samples that we had, we used albumin, gelatin, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Uh, and then we added the Hopkins Cole reagent, which is actually magnesium glyoxylate. So remember that the actual identity of your Hopkins Cole reagent is your magnesium glyoxylate. And then you had your sample, you had your Hopkins Cole reagent. We also added sulfuric acid slowly by tilting the test tube and adding the sulfuric acid slowly to the side. And the positive result for Hopkins Cole test is the presence of a blue or violet ring. So, dito sa test na to, if you saw a blue or violet ring uh, after adding your sulfuric acid, then that means that there is tryptophan present in the sample. If the result if there is no color change, or if there's any other color that appeared, that means that the tryptophan is absent. So you expect tryptophan to be absent in your incomplete dietary proteins such as your gelatin. Kasi di ba naalala nyo sa lecture natin, sinabi natin yung gelatin is an incomplete dietary protein. Yung limiting amino acid niya is your tryptophan. So recall natin yung procedure na ginawa natin. We had albumin, gelatin, tyrosine, and tryptophan. And then we added 4 drops of your Hopkins Cole reagent. Then after you added your Hopkins Cole reagent, we inclined it and added sulfuric acid to the side of the tube. And then yielding a blue or violet ring if tryptophan is present and no color change if tryptophan is absent. Okay? So, ang nangyari, di ba dito sa samples natin, syempre, of course, the tyrosine does not have the indole ring, so that it will test negative for Hopkins Cole test. Your gelatin does not have tryptophan because the limiting amino acid of your gelatin is tryptophan, so that will also test negative. Meanwhile, your albumin and your tryptophan will have the ring present. Okay? Next. So, here is the appearance of the uh, test result. If you do the Hopkins Cole test, the purple ring is absent if there is no tryptophan in the sample. The purple ring is present if there is tryptophan present in the sample. Okay? Next. So the other laboratory activity that we did during the analysis of proteins is your bioret test. So your bioret test, the objective is to detect the presence of peptide bonds. Remember, detects the presence of peptide bonds. So yung bond mismo yung dinidetect na dito. What is the principle? The cupric ions in your sample forms a complex with nitrogen atoms in peptide bonds found in protein. So do you recall, let's go through the procedure little by little dito sa bioret test, no? So what we did in the biotest, we had 2 ml each of your albumin, urea, and alanine in different test tubes. And then for each test tube, you added 1 ml of sodium hydroxide, and then you added 5 drops of copper sulfate solution. So ito yung color blue, no? So remember, ang reagent natin dito na ginamit natin sa biotest test is your sodium hydroxide as well as your copper sulfate. So what is the positive result for your bioret test? The positive result is actually the presence of a purple color. So the result becomes purple if there are more than 2 peptide linkages present. And the negative result is blue kasi nga color blue yung copper sulfate natin. So hahawa lang yung kulay copper sulfate. So negative result is color blue if there are proteins if proteins are absent in the sample, or if amino acid lang siya, ibig sabihin, pag amino acid lang siya, isa lang siya, so wala siyang bonds present, wala pa siyang ka-bond. So if there are no bonds, therefore your bioret test will become negative because your bioret test will detect the presence of your peptide bonds. So your bioret test also may turn up negative if the if the peptide is actually just a dipeptide. So, ibig sabihin, isang linkage lang yung meron. Because, in order for copper to form, to become in order for, the color reaction to become visible, kailangan enough, there should be enough peptide bonds present. So, kung isang peptide bond lang yan, hindi pa siya enough in order for to turn the solution purple. Okay, so copper mas complex with actually 4 to 6 peptide bonds in order to produce the purple color. So, kung free amino acid lang siya, hindi siya enough. If pa isa-isang bond lang meron, hindi siya enough in order to turn it purple. So, during the test, we did the Biuret test. So, yung alanine, syempre, of course, it will turn up negative. So, as urea, ang magpo-purple dito actually is your albumin. Kasi your albumin has more than 2 peptide linkages present. So, here is your Biuret test. This is what we expect as the result. If it's negative, the color will be blue. By virtue of the color of your copper sulfate. If the test is positive, then the color will be purple. Okay? So, next. After the Biuret test and the Hopkins Gold test, let's go through several tests that we weren't able to do kasi since marami tayong shortage of reagents during the time we did the experiment. So, we'll just go through them theoretically. So, the first of the amino acid tests of the analytic tests is the ninhydrin test. So, the ninhydrin test, just remember, detects the presence of amino groups. And the reagent used, of course, is ninhydrin reagent. So, the positive result of your ninhydrin test is the presence of a blue or violet complex if an amino acid is present. So, dito sa ninhydrin test, you have your sample, then you spray it with the ninhydrin reagent, and then you expect a blue or violet complex because it will react with the nitrogens dun sa amino group mo. So yung ninhydrin will react with the nitrogens dun sa amino group mo. So, ito naman, so if any other amino acid is present, you get a blue or violet complex. If you have the amino acid proline or hydroxyproline, you get a yellow complex. Bakit? Kasi kakaiba nga, di ba? We discussed in our proteins lecture that the structure of your proline is a little bit different from the other amino acids. It forms a closed loop with the NH2 group niya, di ba? So, if you recall, but it's also still considered a positive reaction kasi you still detected the amino acid. So if there's no amino acid, of course, there will be no color change. If it's positive, you will form a blue or violet complex if it's any other amino acid, and yellow if it's a proline or a hydroxyproline. Okay, next. Another test is your xanthoproteic test. So, this xanthoproteic test naman will detect the amino acids that contain an aromatic ring. So, yung mga bulky na amino acids natin, yung may parang benzene ring sila sa structure, yun yung mga dinedetect ng xanthoproteic test. So, what is the reagent used in your xanthoproteic test? It's actually your nitric acid, and then you heat up the sample. So, here, in your xanthoproteic test, you nitrate your amino acids, and then that will lead to the formation of your nitrobenzene. So here in this xanthoproteic test, you expect the positive reaction is actually the formation of a yellow precipitate. That means it has been nitrobenzene formation, and nitrobenzene will only form if you have an amino acid that contains an aromatic ring. So what are those amino acids that contain an aromatic ring? It's phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Tandaan, PTT, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Sila yung mga magpa-positive kay xanthoproteic test because those are the 3 amino acids that contain an aromatic ring. If you recall the structure in our amino acids proteins lecture, okay? If you have any other amino acids, so yung other amino acids na walang aromatic rings, ibig sabihin, there will be no color change. So, usually naman ganun. If it's negative, no color change, or kung ano mang kulay ng reagent, yun lang siya. If there is a special change in the color, then that's the positive reaction. No? So, positive reaction is yellow. Negative reaction will be no color change. So, ito na yung pangalawang yellow, di ba? Kanina yung yellow sa ninhydrin test, that's the presence of proline. Yung yellow naman dito sa xanthoproteic test denotes the presence of your aromatic amino acids. Okay? So next, another test I want you to familiarize yourselves with is your Mellon's test. So your Mellon's test is a test that detects the presence of tyrosine. So, naalala nyo, yung phenylalanine, and then you have your tyrosine. So, tyrosine yun yung may phenol group, no? So, uh, uh, di ba yung phenylalanine, yung mayroon siyang phenyl, tas alanine. So, may phenyl, tas may alanine, phenylalanine. And then, if you had an OH, that's your tyrosine. So here, Millen's test detects the presence of tyrosine. And the reagent used here is the Million's reagent. So, ang components ng Million's reagent is your mercuric nitrate plus mercurous nitrate plus concentrated nitric acid. So, what happens here? If you add your Million's reagent, there will be nitrification of your phenol group in the tyrosine. So, yung dinedetect dito is the phenol group. Yung dinedetect doon kanina, tandaan nyo, sa Santo-Putaic test is the aromatic ring. So, dito sa Million's test naman is the phenol group. So, yung benzene ring plus OH. Kasi phenol, di ba? So, benzene ring plus OH group in the tyrosine is the one being detected here in your Millen's test. And the positive result for your Millen's test is your red-pink, the formation of your red-pink precipitate, which denotes that there has been mercury complex formation. There has been formation of a complex with your mercury and nitrophenyl derivatives with your amino acid. So, of course, if there's no precipitate, ibig sabihin, walang complex na nag-form, ibig sabihin, there is no tyrosine present in the sample. So, tandaan natin yung mga and so next, let's go to another one before we go to a little bit of review, no? So the next test is the lead acetate test. So ito namang lead acetate test will detect the presence of your sulfur containing amino acids. So ito namang si lead acetate test will detect your sulfur containing amino acids. So ano yung sulfur containing amino acids natin if you recall? The first one is methionine, di ba meron siyang SH, and then you have your cysteine. Si cysteine, yung may SH pala. So, methionine, yung may S sa kalagitnaan. So, tandaan nyo yung dalawang sulfur-containing amino acids, methionine and cysteine. So, methionine and cysteine. Methionine and cysteine contain sulfur. So, what are the reagents for your lead acetate test? Of course, you have sodium hydroxide as well as your, of course, as the name implies, lead acetate, and then you add heat. So, in this sample, the sulfhydryl or the disulfide groups dun sa ating mga sulfur-containing amino acids will become inorganic sulfide in the presence of your reagents, and then they will react with your lead acetate in order to form your lead sulfide. And if there is lead sulfide present, then that will yield the brown or black precipitate, which is the positive result for your lead acetate test. Therefore, if there's lead sulfide present, therefore, cysteine or methionine is present in the sample. Of course, there will be no precipitate formed if the test is negative. Okay? So, we've gone through several tests, no? To detect your, yung mga different types of amino acids natin, no? So, tandaan nyo, the first one, the one that we actually did is the one that detects the indole ring of your tryptophan, which is your Hopkins-Cole test. And then the other one detects aromatic rings so the other one that detects aromatic rings is your Santo-Putaic test, which detects your phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. And then the one that detects the phenol group is your Million's test, which is the test for tyrosine. And then the one that detects amino acids that contain sulfur, such as cysteine and methionine, is your lead acetate test. So that's a little bit of a rundown para mas madali nyo siyang maalala. Okay? Next, the denaturation part, we actually wanted to do a little bit of denaturation part of our experiment, but we weren't able to do this. So let's just have a rundown on what happens if you have a sample, of a protein sample, and then you subject them to different stressors. So first one, if you have your protein sample and then you apply heat, what happens is coagulation. Why? Because there is an increase in temperature, because the increase in temperature will cause the atoms of your sample to vibrate more rapidly, and that thus disrupting the hydrogen bonds of your proteins. So, naalala niyo, di ba, sa denaturation, there is disruption of the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure of your proteins due to different stimuli. So, ito yung isa sa mga yun, no? The first one is heat, pwede rin yung mga changes in pH as alcohol. So we'll go through some of the things that we actually wanted you to go through, but we weren't able to do so. So the first one is heat. So if you have, for example, an egg albumin, di ba, yung pag-egg, niluto mo si egg, there will be coagulation of proteins because of the disruption of the structure, the higher order structures in the protein structure there in the egg albumin. So, there is disruption of the hydrogen bonds. So next, another thing that you can use is if you have your sample, for example, under egg albumin, then you add inorganic acids such as your hydrochloric acids. So because of the change in pH, there will be disruption of the hydrogen bonds and the salt bridges, syempre. And then that will lead to coagulation of your proteins. Another thing that can cause coagulation is the addition of alcohol, such as your ethanol. So if you did an experiment, if you were to do this experiment, we'd have your egg albumin and then you add samples of ethanol. So how does ethanol, in fact, cause coagulation to occur? So the ethanol is a solvent that is capable of engaging in intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So imbes na yung protein mo maintains its hydrogen bonds with the rest of the protein in order to form the secondary tertiary quaternary structure, it will opt to form hydrogen bonds with your alcohol. So para siyang sali dun sa reaction. Therefore, there will be disruption of the hydrogen bonding and the R group interactions within the protein. Thus, nagkakagulo siya. So, sumasali siya doon, makiki-join siya in the reaction instead of having the bonds maintaining the structure of your proteins. So, that's what happens in denaturation, coagulation due to alcohol. Next, another thing that can happen, that can denature, other things that can denature your proteins are heavy metal salts. So what happens naman in heavy metal salts? There will be precipitation. So your heavy metal salts such as your lead, your silver, as well as mercury, the heavy metal ions will actually bond with the carboxylate anions of your amino acids or the SH groups of your cysteine. So there will be disruptions of the salt linkages as well as the disulfide linkages respectively. Okay, so if you have your protein and then you add heavy metal salts, then there will be precipitation. Next, if you have proteins and then you add alkaloidal reagents such as urtanic acid and picric acid, there will be precipitation because the reagents this time will react with the positively charged amino groups. So and then if it reacts with the amino groups of your proteins, there will be disruption of your salt linkages. So yung nag-react with your carboxylate groups is your heavy metal salts. Yung nag-react with the amino groups of your amino acids will be your alkaloidal reagents. Okay? So those are some of the things that we wanted to tackle but we're not able to in the group, so that we just went through them theoretically. Now let's go to the discussion of your lipid chemistry. So for lipid chemistry, we had several tests that we did. So ito medyo maiksi lang. So and then let's just go through them one by one. Tapos meron lang tayong isang additional test that I wanted to discuss kasi medyo relevant siya. So, the first one is the test for solubility. So, in principle, di ba, sabi natin your lipids are inherently non-polar. So, non-polar and thus they are soluble or miscible only in non-polar solvents. Kasi nga, di ba, sabi natin, yung principle natin, as far as solubility is concerned, is of course like dissolves like. So if your lipids are non-polar, then they will be only soluble in non-polar. Hindi siya magiging soluble in polar solvents. So we had several reagents that we added to your oils, di ba? You have your diluted sodium hydroxide, we had distilled water, ethanol, and carbon tetrachloride. So, itong carbon tetrachloride is the most nonpolar of the four. So, since nonpolar siya, of course, the result here is the solubility of your oils in your carbon tetrachloride is, of course, miscible. And then you have your ethanol. Your ethanol is also already a polar molecule. However, it is less polar compared to your water and sodium hydroxide. So dito sa ethanol, actually medyo slightly miscible pa siya when compared to the miscibility with distilled water and sodium hydroxide. Diba? Pag you added distilled water and sodium hydroxide, meron na talagang distinct layers na na-form. Okay? Next. So, Here, we had immiscible your lipids when added to this diluted sodium hydroxide, and as well as distilled water, they are immiscible. So there is a distinct layer. Hindi nagmi-mix yung oil with the solvent. Meanwhile, sa ethanol, medyo miscible pa siya. And carbon tetrachloride, of course, dun talaga siya miscible kasi they are both non-polar. Okay? So after your solubility test, we also went through the uh, emulsification of lipids. So what we did in emulsification of lipids, we had three different test tubes, di ba? We had three different test tubes. The first test tube had water and coconut oil. The next test tube had water and sodium carbonate. And the third test tube had water, coconut oil, and soap solution. So ano nangyari dito sa emulsification of lipids? Di ba? For each test tube, you added the ones I mentioned, and then you shake it. You shook the test tube and then you allowed it to stand for 2 minutes. So, ano nangyari dito? So, actually, ano nga ulit, balikan natin yung principle of emulsification, di ba? So, if you have your oil, if you had your fatty acids, and then you add your, uh, eh, if you want to emulsify your fatty acids, di ba? You form fatty acid salts, and then your fatty acid salts has the tendency to form micelles around your lipid droplets para maging mas ma-break yung surface, maging mas soluble siya or masuspend yung lipids natin in solution para mas madali siyang wash away. So, yun yung nga din yung principle in the cleansing action of your soap, di ba? So, your fatty acid salts will form micelles around lipid droplets in order to cleanse whatever it is you're cleaning. So, here in the emulsification of lipids, what happened when you shook the water and the coconut oil? Of course, they're not miscible. They didn't mix. So, we were able to observe different distinct layers. Meanwhile, if you added water with coconut oil and sodium carbonate, there was actually a little bit of suspension going on, no? Pero it was temporary. After standing, nawala din yung pagkaka-emulsify niya. Hindi na siya uh, meanwhile, if you added soap solution, uh, nag-mix siya thoroughly, nagkaroon siya ng bula-bula because there is permanent emulsification. So, nagkaroon ka ng micelles and nag-improve yung na hindi and upon standing, hindi nawala yung pagka-emulsify ng coconut oil mo with your soap solution. Hindi kagaya nung sa sodium carbonate na nag-emulsify siya for a bit and then bumalik din siya into distinct layers. Okay? Next. We also did preparation of soap. So ito balikan natin, di ba? What is saponification? Saponification is the process of the creation of your soap. What happens in saponification? Your fat oil is hydrolyzed into 3 molecules of fatty acids and glycerol, and the base in your solution reacts with fatty acid in order to produce water and salt. So, ang prerequisite dito is to have an alkaline solution. And when we prepared our soap, the alkaline solution is actually your sodium hydroxide. So, we had coconut oil and then sodium hydroxide, and we stirred it in heat. Diba? So, yun na nangyari. We stirred it in heat continuously until saponification is complete. And then we put it into a mold, and then I don't know if you tested the soaps that you made later on, pero if you tried washing it, if you tried the soaps when they were solidified afterwards, then there will actually be suds for there will be it actually has a cleaning activity na later on when it actually solidified. So recall na lang what we used in this for this lab activity. I want you to recall what we used. So what we used is your coconut oil, your sodium hydroxide, and your heat. Kasi nga, di ba, ang prerequisite for the saponification reaction is the presence of of your fat or oil and the presence of an alkaline solution. So the alkaline solution here in the saponification process that we use is your sodium hydroxide. Okay? Next. So next naman, let's go through the comparison of soap and detergent. I think this one is the last part of the practical thing of the laboratory activity that we did. But we'll go through a little more concepts now. So during the comparison of soap and detergent, diba? We had two test tubes. One is for soap, one is for detergent. And we tested for pH. You added 3 drops of phenolphthalein. So here, if you recall, phenolphthalein is colorless if acidic or neutral. Phenolphthalein turns purple or pink if the solution is basic. So ito nga yung nung nag-lab tayo, nagsasabi nila, a lot of students approached me, they were complaining bakit daw hindi pa-purple or nagpi-pink yung solution ng lalo na dun sa detergent. So actually, depende rin kasi yun sa tendencies sa detergent na ginamit natin, no? So some detergents are actually when you add water, they are more basic or neutral kaya siya nagiging colorless. Pero as far as soap is concerned, mas madali siyang mag purple or pink kasi talagang when your soap is put into water, there will be hydrolysis and then it's actually really basic. So, tandaan nyo na lang, soap is basic. As far as pH is concerned, your detergent is basic but more neutral than your soap. Okay, next. We also wanted to test for the solubility of soap or detergent in calcium chloride or magnesium chloride. So, soap is actually more insoluble in calcium chloride and magnesium chloride compared to your detergent, which is actually soluble. So what did we do in this procedure? You had two solutions, you had two test tubes for each, diba? You had two test tubes for soap, two test tubes for detergent. For one test tube, you added calcium chloride. For the other test tube, you added magnesium chloride. And then you added warm water, you added the stopper, and then you shook it. And then you added the soap solution, and then you shake it again, and then and then you observe for the reaction. So here in principle here actually is the tendency of your soap to become less effective in the presence of hard water, diba? Or substances that contain magnesium, calcium, or iron ions. So these ions actually, so yung magnesium dito and the calcium dito, then ang tendency nito is actually to precipitate with your soap molecules. So when it precipitates with your soap molecules, it has the tendency to form what we call yung scum, di ba? So, di ba pag naliligo tayo, minsan pag eventually pag nagbe-build up yung sabon doon sa banyo, makikita niyo parang may mga gray na lines or mga yung parang marks ng sabon, di ba? Kasi for example, sa bathtub, sa CR, so yung mga gray lines na yun, na nagbe-build up as we go along, is what we refer to as soap scum. So yung soap scum na yun is actually precipitation of water, precipitation of the hard water in your CR with the soap that you're using. So itong, ang tendency actually here, your soap tends to be less effective in cleaning when you use it in hard water. So, since instead of having its cleaning activity, the soap will precipitate with these ions. So, many of the soap molecules will no longer be in solution. So, mas effective actually yung soap natin if you use it in water that has few or no ions here. Okay, so detergents are similar to soap, but not quite the same. So they do not have the tendency to form soap scum. Okay, next. The other thing that we tested is the emulsifying ability of your soap and detergent. So, ang observation natin, meron pa ring suds, di ba? Nakita nyo. But, there is less suds formed when you use your soap, and there are more suds formed when you use your detergent. So, let's just go through a brief comparison of your soap and detergent. So, what are the similarities and what are the differences? So, the similarities, of course, they both have the hydrophobic head and the hydrophilic tail. That's why they both have a similar cleaning ability. Due to their ability to form micelles. Okay, so dun sa micelles, di ba, sinabi na natin during our lipid lecture, di ba? So the micelles, dun sa gitna niya ilalagay yung mga oils or yung grease na nililinis natin. That's why you are able to clean a lot of substances. So, what are the key differences between your soaps and detergents? So, your soap is actually usually made from animal or vegetable fat. So, it's from biomass. And your soap is actually more used for personal hygiene and it has a tendency to form scum when used with hard water. So hard water, yun yung water na maraming ions as I mentioned earlier. Yung may yung water na may kahalong calcium and magnesium and other ions, no. So the one that forms scum is your soap. Meanwhile, your detergents are synthetic. So hindi siya galing sa animal or vegetable fat. They are used for more used for surfaces and objects. So, and it has less tendency to form scum when used with hard water. So, if you're using hard water, actually, the one with the higher cleaning ability is your detergent. So, and then your detergent, since they're synthetic, they're less biodegradable, and that's actually more environmental implications. Okay? Actually, yung detergent, if you look at the ingredients list, ito yung tinatawag natin yung mga nababasa yung sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium dodecyl sulfate, sila yung mga nakikita natin sa likod, di ba, ng mga products ginamit natin. So next, I just want to go through a reaction that we didn't actually do in the lab, which is the Lieberman-Butcher test. So the Lieberman-Butcher test is a test that detects cholesterol. So what happens in this test? If you add the reagent to your cholesterol containing sample, the OH groups in the cholesterol will react with the reagent in order to form a colored product. So in theory, if we did this, we would have cholesterol grades reacting with chloroform, and then you add the reagents, which is your acetic anhydride and sulfuric acid. So the more cholesterol there is, then the more intense the color reaction will be. So this is actually a colorimetric test, no? So if konti lang yung cholesterol, the color will be lilac, and then it will become blue, and then it will become emerald green the more cholesterol there is. So sabi na natin na the intensity depends on the amount of cholesterol present. If there's no cholesterol present, then there will be no color change. So so yung kanina is more on the fatty acids and in the oils that we were testing, no? This one is for the detection of cholesterol. So this is more so this one so ito theoretical lang natin dinaanan kasi we didn't have the reagents for this one. But remember, the Lieberman-Butcher test is the test that detects for cholesterol. Okay? Yung the reagents are acetic anhydride and sulfuric acid. And the positive result, actually, if you are only going to pick one of these, the positive result is emerald green. Okay? So I think that's the last one. So thank you so much for listening and good luck with your exam.